Ever wondered how genetics work in the wizarding world created by J.K. Rowling? It appears that magic is genetic, because it seems to run in families. Is there a real difference between a pure-blood, half-blood, or muggle-born wizard? Is magic a dominant or recessive gene? The wizarding gene is dominant. If that were true, there would be no muggle-born wizards. Like I was saying, the wizarding gene is recessive. If that were true, there would be no wizard-born muggles. J.K. Rowling declared the magical gene dominant. I believe this is not so much wrong as imprecise. Instead, magic follows the same genetic pattern as eye color. Brown is the most dominant. Green is less dominant, and blue is recessive. In the case of magic, the anti-magic gene is the most dominant, followed by the wizard gene being less dominant, and the muggle gene being recessive. Since everyone inherits one from each parent, there are 6 possible combinations. Among the 3 combinations that lack the magical gene, it would be impossible to tell the difference between someone who has 2 anti-magic genes, 2 muggle genes, or 1 of each. None of them will be able to use magic. The differences will show only when they start having children with someone who has the wizard gene. A person with 2 copies of the anti-magic gene cannot have magical children. The wizard Thaddeus Thurkell, famed for transforming his 7 squib sons into hedgehogs, probably chose one of this type for his mate. I suspect Vernon Dursley was also this type. He was described as the most unmagical person in the world. J.K. Rowling seriously considered giving Dudley a magical child but decided against it because she decided the magical gene from the Evans family could never survive Vernon's DNA. That isn't exactly how genetics works, but still, this confirms that Vernon is definitely the reason Dudley doesn't have any magic. Someone with 2 copies of the muggle gene could easily have magical children, so long as their mate supplies the magical gene. Someone with 1 of each could as well, but the odds are cut in half. Let's talk about how you get a wizard-born muggle. For those not familiar with Harry Potter, a wizard-born muggle is a non-magical child born to at least one magical parent. There is only one way this happens when both parents are magical. Both parents have the wizard gene and the recessive muggle gene. Even when these conditions are met, there is only a 25% chance this will occur. Wizard-born muggles will be far more common in families where only one of the parents is a wizard and the other isn't. They are the result of inheriting the anti-magic gene or lacking the wizard gene. Of course, it could also be both. Notice many of these combinations have the wizard and the anti-magic gene. Naturally, this leads to how we get muggle-born wizards. Muggle-born wizards are the opposite of a wizard-born muggle. They are a wizard born to 2 non-magical parents. All muggle-born wizards have at least one parent that has both the wizard and the anti-magic gene, could be both. If not, the other parent will have either 2 copies of the muggle gene or 1 anti-magic and 1 muggle gene. Now let's talk about what it really means to be pure blood. In truth, being pure blood is nothing more than a social status defined by both parents and all 4 grandparents being magical or wizards with no known muggle associations. Some are stricter than that, requiring pure blood wizards as far back as anyone cares to track the results. Given that unless both parents are as pure as they think they are, there is a 50% chance the non-magical gene will be passed on to their children. It stands to reason that many allegedly pure blood families are not as pure as they think they are. If Molly and Arthur Weasley were both carriers of the muggle gene, they almost certainly would have gotten at least 1 or 2 wizard-born muggles in the bunch. So, it is unlikely both of them are. However, it is still possible that one of them isn't as truly pure as they think. If so, they would still have 100% wizard children, but close to half of them would be carriers of the muggle gene. Contrast that with the Malfoys. If both Narcissa and Lucius carried the muggle gene, Draco would have a 75% chance of still being a wizard. Because they only had 1 child, the odds were in their favor of having a magical child. In the case of the Malfoys, I doubt this is the case. This is because Lucius, Narcissa and Draco were all placed in Slytherin by the Sorting Hat. Being pure blood is part of the criteria for placing a student in Slytherin. Even though the Sorting Hat is reading the minds of the students, I suspect the social status definition would be impossible to truly know. Some of the students didn't even know themselves. Take Tom Riddle, aka Voldemort, for example. He was adopted and at the time of the sorting ceremony probably didn't even know who his parents were, let alone their blood status. I suspect the Sorting Hat is judging blood purity by genetics. Did this person inherit 2 copies of the wizard gene, or only 1? In the case of Voldemort, his mother was definitely one of the few where blood purity was nearly certain, and his father was probably the type of muggle that also carries the wizard and the anti-magic gene. In the case of Dolores Umbridge, the purity of her father would be far less certain. Her mother, Ellen Cracknell, was probably also a carrier of the magic and the anti-magic gene. Dolores obviously inherited the wizard gene from both parents. Her muggle brother did not. Because the Sorting Hat considered placing Harry in Slytherin, I suspect he too inherited 2 copies of the wizard gene. The half-bloods of Slytherin are socially considered half-bloods, but genetically are pure carriers of the wizard gene. This same explanation could also be used to explain why some students who should have been placed in Slytherin weren't. They are wizards that carry the muggle gene too, and therefore ineligible for Slytherin. Could there ever be a muggle-born Slytherin? Yes, but it would be very rare. For that to happen, both parents would have to have the wizard and the anti-magic gene. Even with that pairing, there is only a 25% chance that a genetically pure magic child will occur. Because not all pure bloods are placed in Slytherin, this person would also have to have the personality traits too. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Please comment down below and let me know your thoughts. For those in the know of canon, are there any flaws in my theory?